listening to The Spot.
Fellas, I'm ready to get up and do my thing. I want to get into it, man, you know.
Let me tell you something, man. These are everyday common folk, working people out there. These neighbors. You play the game when you working for them.
Who are you talking to like that?
Nasty.
Talking to your ass.
Damn, y'all look good in the government check. Yeah.
And now, The Spot on SoFloRadio.com. Bitches.
And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible.
Well, all right. This is a new and different approach to the spot. We've got, well, let me properly introduce this brother, because I'm not doing him any disservice if I don't explain to you who we have here off in the spot right here on SoFloRadio.com. I am one Jack Frost, and the brother that I'm about to introduce to you right now, he hails from the island of Haiti, the first independent country in Latin America and the Caribbean. He is the student regional minister of the Nation of Islam's regional headquarters. He oversees and is responsible for the Nation of Islam's mosques, study groups in South Florida, well, Florida, period, South America, and the Caribbean. I'd like to introduce you all to Brother Minister Patrick Muhammad, right here off in the spot, y'all. Brother Muhammad.
How you doing? It's a pleasure to be here, Brother Jack, and
all right.
Sister Angela. I'm honored to be here. It's a blessing to be alive.
Right.
And to be on your show and to have a lawful, deliberative dialogue and everything that is going on.
Right.
Especially with us and our community at large. Yes, sir. So I'm honored to be here.
Right. So now this all started for you in the nation in the 90s. What was it in particular that spurred you to join the nation?
That's a very good question. I was 19, 20 years of age when I first heard about the nation. Prior to that, I lived, of course, in Haiti for 15 years of my life, went to school there and everything else.
Right.
Grew up, without a father in the house. So when I came into the U.S., I was 15 years of age. And I took them to the streets, like many of our youth do.
Right.
And got involved into gangs, got involved into drugs and things of the world that we should not be involved into.
Right.
And about 19, 20 years of age, I was with some friends, and I thought we were going to a party. And I heard one of the friends says, we're going to get some tickets. And I got upset that he didn't invite me to go to the concert.
To the concert, right?
You know, and I'm like, you know how we say in the street, you know, you kind of, as we say, you kind of tripping, you know.
Right.
And so, and then he proceeded to say, no, it's not a concert. It's someone that's going to speak. I said, someone is going to speak? And I said, who is it? He said the name, but I was so ignorant, you know, of the name and anything else that I didn't know who that was.
Right.
And so he began to make mockery of me that I didn't know who this was. And a friend of mine who was in the vehicle at the same time, he said, leave him alone. He said, leave Patrick alone. He said, the best way I could explain that to you is like, he said, like Malcolm X. And the only thing I know of Malcolm X at that time was just a picture, and it says by any means necessary.
Right.
I didn't know anything else. So he proceeded, he got the ticket for me, and I went there, and to my surprise, it was at the LA Coliseum, which held about 50,000 people. And on one side, there were the Bloods, and the other sides were the Crips, and this place is full to capacity.
Right.
I see a bulletproof glass on the stage, and I'm saying, what is this? What is about to go down?
President coming in or something?
You know what? Yeah. I mean, I'm expecting something major, you know?
Yeah.
And then different speakers got on the podium, and all of a sudden, this man came in. When he walked on the stage, it was like he had a glow of light with him. And he began to speak, and the Bloods and the Crips, for the first time, I heard, you know, were cheering, like in a sense of they want unity. And I remember seeing some helicopters flying over, and I look, and I was always getting in trouble with the police, even for doing nothing.
Right.
So this is not normal what we're hearing today. And when I saw it, I looked at the helicopters, and I looked at that man, and everything he was saying was hitting home. It's like a father I never had.
Right.
And I began to shed tears. And then I said in my head, I want to help this man. I didn't know who he was. I want to help him. And I even felt like I wanted to give my life for him. So he spoke, and I left. I saw some brothers out there selling bean pies. And I said, what is that? And I bought one, ate one, and thought I was a Muslim. And went back doing the same.
That's what all it took, just a piece of bean pie.
I went back doing the same thing I was doing. But there was a seed that got dropped in my head.
Right.
So then the Rodney King incident came
I was about
up.
to ask you.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And we were upset.
Right.
And I lived about 20 miles away from LA. I had friends who lived there, and I wanted to go to LA, and my parents and relatives were saying, don't go because they're killing black men in the alleys, which didn't make the news. Some of my friends were saying, man, they're killing us like flies down here. So I tried to go to a church, try to go somewhere to find some guidance, and unfortunately, the pastor of the church was trying to say, let's all get along. I said, that's not the message I want to hear right now. So we left from there. And a few months later, a friend of mine, to be honest, I went to his house, and we were scheduled to go smoke some joint.
Right.
That was the appointment.
Right.
You know? And he says, oh, no, I can't go right now because I got to go to this meeting, and this brother's coming to pick me up. And I laughed. I said, brother, because we used the N-word back then.
Right,
I said, you mean an N-word coming to pick you up? He said, no, it's a brother. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll wait till this brother come pick you up, and then I'll leave.
Right.
And sure enough, a short brother came to the door, clean, suit, tie, a bow tie at that, clean cut, came very humble. At that time, I had 5 earrings in my ears, long hair, bloodshot red, pants sagging, you know it. And he came to the door, and he came to pick up my friend. And he said, brother, why don't you come with us? I said, nah, y'all too clean for me. I said, another time. He said, brother, we accept you as you are. And I never heard that before. And I said, well, I'm not going to let my friend go by himself. And I went, and it was the mosque. And then that's when I found out the mosque was associated with Minister Farrakhan that I heard a year before. And I stood up and never looked back.
Well, you guys just celebrated the 80th year of the nation on July 4th recently. And the thing that I would want to ask is, with what recently happened with Sandra Bland, the young woman, 28-year-old woman that was found dead in her jail cell. The theme of what you got going on the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March is justice or else. I would imagine something like this that just transpired would bring about, some of the ethos of what the theme stands for. Now, the information that I'm getting is that she died from asphyxiation, pardon me.
Correct.
What are some of the views, or how would you speak on it, representing the nation, in regards to something like this?
They're telling too many lies. Justice is represented by a woman who is holding a scale and she blindfolded.
Mm-hmm.
She's not to see classism.
Right.
She's not to see racism. She's not to see none of the above. Justice, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan teaches us from the life-giving teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is the principle of fair dealing. We have been under injustice for the last 400 years. And so we have a system that we're now calling the non-justice department, because the attorneys, the police officers, the judges, all of them, the majority of them, are in the same boat.
Right.
So from the time the police do what they're doing, going all the way to the attorneys, going to the prison system, it is indeed a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't treat others like the way they treat us.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at, to hear the story of this young woman that I'm reading about, when you say asphyxiation, that's to lose consciousness by the impairing of normal breathing, being choked.
Right.
So she did that to herself. Okay. It reminds me many years ago where a young man was arrested the same way in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And his parents were Muslims.
Right.
And they arrested him and put him in the jail cell. And before he could have a case, they say he died and that he hung himself with shoelaces. The case was presented to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He got an attorney to look into it. Minister Farrakhan paid out of his pocket. He says, look into the case.
Wait, hold on one second. Shoelaces?
Shoelaces.
Some strong shoelaces.
It's very strong shoelaces. And then they invited the minister for a rally in Mississippi. I think this was 1994. And the minister spoke there. He says, we're tired of you telling us these lies.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was in the spirit, he says, I think it's time now that we must see that there are two gods on the scene. He says, I'm going to pray to my God to bring his wrath on Mississippi, and you all pray for yours to save Mississippi. And let's see whose God is going to answer, because justice was not done by this young man.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, it rained like it never rained before. Caucasian people said that the way it rained is as if God was chastising them. Well, that's 1994. That's nearly 21 years later.
Right.
And it's the same stories we get. Here's the sister now. It doesn't make a difference, even though we have new technology. You have your phone. You can record something. It could be live and you see it, just as still doesn't respond. Right. So the Bible says in the book of Isaiah, justice falls in the streets because no one is listening. Mm-hmm. But the Creator is listening today. And so this is just another sister added to the list, justifying justice or else. Many people have asked the minister, what is the or else part? What y'all gonna do? You gonna get some guns?
Right.
We don't do that kind of stuff. We believe in the God who created the heavens and the earth, who can make rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. And we are the real children of Israel, and we live in a prophetic time, and we live in a historical time. So I have to say, while I'm on that note, in the book of Numbers, the 21st chapter, the 6th verse, it says, the Lord sent venomous snakes. And some scripture references, it says fiery serpents among them. And the Honorable Minister Farrakhan recently said, he said, do you know who these venomous snakes are? Do you know who these fiery serpents are? He said, in this day and time, these are angry white people. Well, let's see if it matches. We have a president in the United States of America that they call the N-word and monkeys and whatnot. The president. So here's the people, they're saying that let's take our country back. Take from what? So when we're looking at these matters now, recently they got a sister, she was pregnant, threw her on the ground and treated her, just traumatized her. They're killing our youth left and right. So we're fighting a war on two fronts, Brother Jack.
Right.
One, us killing one another, and them killing us. And that's just one aspect of it. So we want justice. We want equal justice under the law, applied equally to all, regardless of class, creed, or color.
Well, that would lead to my next question. To use a description of the Nation of Islam, it says an organization composed chiefly of African Americans advocating the teachings of Islam and originally favoring the separation of black and white racial groups in the United States. Members are known as Black Muslims. British Dictionary defines for a Nation of Islam. Listening to you now, it has shown, and I've seen the minister make his rounds to different stations, and the man that we've known before has gradually evolved as far as the inclusion of all people as opposed to separatism. I look at yourself not having a father and how a strong man, the minister, stood before you and showed an example of what a real man is. How would you better describe, for the angry white people, how would you better describe how the nation has shifted away from the original ideal of being militants or black nationalists and all this other stuff? How, in your view, has it changed or evolved, I would say?
You know, the media is very strange in this picture.
Yeah.
Because the media put those labels on us.
Right.
We never call ourselves black Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Right.
We never call it black nationalism. They did.
Right.
We've always had the same teachings, and it does evolve. Now, in evolution, has the Nation of Islam always comprised of native people? Yes, it's in our teachings. This is from the 1930s that the founder of the Nation of Islam, Master Farad Muhammad, gave the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the original man, the 17 million at that time, which was us, with the 2 million Indians. It has always been a united front. The Nation of Islam, from the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we've never hated Caucasian people because of the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. No, what the Nation of Islam hates is white supremacy and black inferiority. That has always been the teaching. But a lot of people don't go and say, you know, they don't study. And ignorance is our biggest enemy. So to give you an example, for instance, separation. Why should we separate? Well, here is what is called the Muslim program. And you've heard Tim Russett and you've seen Phil Donahue and they all interview the minister.
Right.
And you want separation. That doesn't make any sense. And Tim Russett one time asked the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, we're going to go to point number 4 that we want separation. And the minister said to him very humbly, he says, well, you went to point number 4, but you didn't mention 1, 2, and 3. And 1 says we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or class or color. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. Now, if we don't get those, then we have to separate.
Well, this would lead to my next question in regards to, you know, this is something that I know would hit home with you, overseeing the mosques in South America and the Caribbean. The current unrest that's going on in Haiti at the moment and the island of Hispaniola, period. How would you view that, and how has it possibly stirred you, you know, being a Haitian?
Oh, it makes me very upset. It makes me very upset, but I'm thankful to Allah God for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Mm-hmm. You have Haitian descent, so am I. There is a saying in Creole, now translated in French. Mm-hmm. It says, "Sou pa konnen koto sorti, ou pa konnen koto campe, ou pa konnen koto brale." Meaning that if you don't know where you come from, you won't know where you're standing, know where you go, you know where you're going. Well, Hispaniola, first of all, that was not even the name of the island.
No.
The name of the island was and is Haiti, spelled originally Ayti, by who? The native people. So the whole island was called Haiti, and the native people were the one who lived in it. Christopher Columbus went on his journey to go find some gold and silver, landed there, and he saw, and he really was going for India, and that's why he called it Indians. But when he got there, keep in mind that he was of Spain. And so he was in the part of what is called now the Dominican Republic or Santo Domingo, and he called the island Hispaniola. But keep in mind also that the French said, hey, what's going on down there? We want a piece of that.
Want a piece of it.
And the French went there too. So I'm leading to this issue with the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Keep in mind that the French and the Spaniards hated one another. Right. That's the first thing we have to go into. So you had the Spaniards who had slaves, and they hated the French, and the French had slaves. So what these Europeans did, of French and Spaniards, the hate that they had for each other, they instilled that in their slaves. Then we had the same amount of people fighting one another. So once we begin to know who we are, even the brown people that are in the Dominican Republic, it was the Spains who raped and mixed their bloods with the native people there, and you got the brown people, and the same thing with the so-called Africans. So now we've had this conflict.
And they won't even acknowledge themselves as such.
That's exactly correct. So now when you have Francois Macandal, Duty Bookman, who fought for the independence of Haiti, they always wanted a united front. But the enemy has come now and divided. So we have a teachings in the nation that says the enemy always comes among us to cause blood and bloodshedding among us. But really, is this a smoke screen? So is it against the Haitians, or is it against brothers who have dark skin that are black? Would they do it to anyone else? Then now, as you start digging into it, you know, there's a story, Brother Jack. It says, whenever you want to find out the hand of the enemy, look for the money. Right now, did you know that Haiti, they just discovered enough oil that belongs to Haiti, if properly cultivated, will make her the 4th richest nation in the world? Did you know that in Jacmel, in the mountains of Jacmel, there is gold there? I went to Haiti. We were sent as a delegation when we sent the water purification system. We had a reporter writing with us. We stayed there for 7 days. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan, Nation of Islam, donated and purchased nearly $150,000 of a solar system to get rid of the diseases that is in the water, the cholera that, you know, they put in the water.
Right.
And when we went there, there was a story of a place called Cité Soleil, City of the Sun.
Right.
This report is now dead. When they went there, if you go there, it is a deplorable condition. You're talking about, we have the benefit of having AC and a door and a window. There's no such thing over there. And here comes the UN soldiers, guns drawn, before the people, ready to kill men, women, and children. They stood up against them. They said, we're on our land, and we're not going to let you come here. So a general got in between, and it died out. But then I wanted to know, well, if the place is so poor, why did the UN soldiers want to go there?
Right.
And come to find out, Cité Soleil produces natural gas. It's about resources. But the enemy's hand, and if you start going into the 30s and find out about the ethnic cleansing, the United States government of America had her hands involved into that process.
They sent troops over here. I mean, over
Absolutely.
there. To, what's the term that they like to use? To civilize the people over there. No, that's something I heard about City of the Sun, because ironically, the earthquake. It's not so much of a coincidence the earthquake happened at the time that it did, and all these people want to come to the island and help these poor people and bring it back to civilization again. So no, it's something that these are a lot of acts. As of course you know about the situation in South Carolina. All these occurrences are happening, and I feel honestly, in my opinion, that it could be a situation where the cuppeth will spilleth over, because at some point the people, no matter what your color is, you'll get tired of being taken advantage of, or whoever the puppet master is. At some point, you're ready to cut the strings.
I'm glad you said that. I was on a radio show last week, and a brother asked us, what did we think about the president? Well, you got to first look at the structure of this country. Mm-hmm. Is America a corporation?
Yes.
And if she is, that's like me going to Publix, and there's an issue there, and I said, where's the manager? Mm-hmm. And here comes somebody with a suit and a tie, puffing his or her chest. I'm the manager. Feeling like they got a big position.
Right.
But you know what that person is not? The owner.
Exactly.
Well, so when we look at presidents, who's behind them? Here we have the Federal Reserve. Do you know that's the main thing that people can't vote on?
Right.
Selected. The international bankers, and that's why they're angry at the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, because he's pointing to these people who control what they control. Mm-hmm. Recently on a native radio show, they asked the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, would you invite President Barack Obama to speak at the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March? He said, I have to really consider this. He says, because there's so many organizations, when they're having their meetings and President Barack Obama is going to be there, they don't invite the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. So why is that? So the minister says, well, maybe Moses will allow Pharaoh to say a few words. He says, but I'm going to say this. This time around, you want to speak up to the people, you have to speak on justice or else. We do not want any coward. This is not a session for, he said, quote, politically corrupted jackasses. Where people are just looking for, what the next bread is. See, when someone pays you, they can control you.
Right.
That's the only one you can have somebody to be a puppet because they pay you. See, they don't pay Minister Farrakhan. We love him so much, we help our minister. And we will help him so much. So we like the opposition and the attack. And the more they attack and oppose, the more we give, the more we sacrifice. Then he turns around and gives back. From the Nation of Islam, we have 1,600 acres of land. Agriculture. We bought a tractor. We're producing our own vegetables, our own bread. We got our own fish now. You don't got to go to Publix and try to buy 4 bags or 4 pounds of whiting fish for $19. You can come among us and we'll give you a bag for $10 of 5 pounds. But guess what? In the fish, the minister came out of his own pocket and spent $100,000 in the lab to make sure that the fish didn't have mercury, radiation, the best quality. He had the fiber of the fish tested. And that's what we're eating now. So the nation is doing things. So where has the Nation of Islam been? Yeah, some of us went to sleep and forgot the mission. But at the same time, the enemy has been on his job trying to block Minister Farrakhan from speaking. We used to be on the college campus. Block that. Got some of the black presidents, don't invite him. They get paid. We used to be in the prison industrial complex. I started in the prison teaching. As a young man in the ministry, block that. You go in the corner now, some of the brothers went to sell the paper. The police came up, they said, brothers always on the corner selling papers. You can't do that anymore. Tickets. All these things, you see. But the thing is that we need a permit. Everything is a permit. Not too long ago, we could sell drugs and be arrested. Brothers are in prison right now for 20 years, but now I legalized marijuana. And then guess what? So are they going to free all these young brothers that were in there?
They're not repealing nothing.
See, so we're living in the justice part. It covers so many topics. It covers education. It covers the prison. It covers family values. It covers poor housing. It covers the law. It covers everything. We want justice or else. We can't continue to live like this.
Right.
This is insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results.
That's the
On
definition.
separation, my beautiful sister, let's say you were married. Okay, I don't know if you're married or not, but let's say you were married, and here's this husband of yours who's constantly abusing you. He's mistreating you. And you say, you're going to say, you know what, I can't take this no more. He got to go. There's two things that can happen. He got to go, or you're going to leave. But if you're in a marriage, you go before a judge and you say, I want to separate. And the judge says, why is that? And you said, because of irreconcilable differences. Well, how long we've been here? And why is it that we don't have what we have? The Brazilian comes over here. The Japanese come over here. My parents are of Haitian descent. A lot of them live in California. In California, in the city of Covina, you go into the bankings in the car dealerships, it's all written in Japanese.
Well, that's a question I had. In regards to the migration from Haiti to California. How did that come about?
Well, you know, brother, we've always trying to look for somewhere to go.
Right, of course.
You know, and I know that in the city of Covina, in particular, that part is a strong Haitian community there. Not as strong as when you compare to Miami and elsewhere, but we're always trying to find somewhere different to stay. Some people, I know some of my relatives, they like California because of the temperature and the water and stuff like that.
Right.
Something that brings similarity to Haiti
Okay.
in one way. So we have different little reasons that we choose to do that. But overall is that we want freedom, justice, and equality for all. This movement that is happening is for black people, it's for natives, it's for Latinos, it's for poor whites, and it's even for the soldiers who joined the army based on a lie, and they come back home and can't get justice. So it covers all. So if Minister Farrakhan was a racist and an anti-Semite, why would he include all those? So because the people don't know the program that we have. I am not to. Do you know that one of the white pastor in Chicago, his name is Father Flager, has a church. He invites Minister Farrakhan to speak at his church. Minister Farrakhan said, that's my brother. But the media not going to put that out there.
No.
You see? So we don't have anything as far as, we hate these people because of
Or
their
animosity.
skin. No,
Like that.
I teach my children, you respect everyone. But the difference with us is that physically, please don't put your hands on us. We are a peaceful people. We always come in peace. But if you slap our cheek, we'll turn your other one. It's a law.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have someone just walk into, I would have to use, was it South Carolina or Charleston? Come on. This man, this skunk, walked into a church with the intention to kill. And when we have had mosque meetings, we invite people into our mosque and we say we have a search procedure. Y'all not really with God. Y'all searching people. Keep breathing. Now we have churches calling the Nation of Islam saying, can the brothers teach the brothers how to search?
Right.
Since 1930, we've had that. So this cunt came in, asked for the pastor, sat next to the pastor, prayed with him for 45 minutes to an hour, took out his gun, I think it was a Glock or whatever it was, emptied it. That ain't it, though. When he finished, he reloaded. Shot again. And I think he loaded a third time. See, by God's permission, our problem, Brother Jack, is that we have become a fearful people. We've heard of fear to be an acronym, false evidence appearing real. Well, I'm going to present two other acronyms this evening.
Okay.
You can look at it as forget everything and run.
I like that.
Or with God in your life, face everything and rise. So if a man was to come in a church like that, we are training the Nation of Islam as the brothers to fear no one but God, to protect our women, to protect our children. And if a man was to come with a gun, we are required to give our lives before that man kill any babies and women. We call on God. We say Allahu Akbar, meaning God is the greatest, and we face the accuser and make him eat that gun because we have to protect our babies. And that's our problems in the communities today. We allow our people, our women to be disrespected. No man wants to take a stand. We have our videos. We see youth fighting each other, and we just watch. Look what I'm looking at. No, see, as brothers, we take charge of our post and our temporal property in view. I was with my wife coming from a function. It was late, and I saw some youth. Her and I, she's trained the same way. We're getting ready to jump out the car to stop whatever's going on. Because when you love, we have to love one another. We can talk about the Nation of Islam, all they're Muslim, but y'all know one thing. We're the brothers. We don't look at religion. If my sister's being abused, not too long ago down the mosque, the brother is holding security in front of the mosque. A sister's running down the street with another black man with a rock in his hand about to hit her. The brother had another brother covered down, and he ran towards the situation. Blocked the brother, says, "No, sir, brother. You are not going to hit our sister." We took the sister into the mosque. She was like, "Thank you so much." We brought her with the sisterhood, and we made sure that the sisters with escort security from the brothers took the sister all the way home. And I pulled the brother on the side. I said, "You can't put your hands on our sister." This is what we need. We need to love one another, fear no one but God. When we become like that, then we will have less crime in our community. We won't be so divided. Let's stop using the word niggers. Let's stop using the word bitches. That come from the slave master's language. No, we're taught in the Nation of Islam, whenever you're looking at the black man and woman, you're looking at God. The potential in the human being. I'm looking at my sister. We use the word sister. Even if she makes me mad, sister, you made me mad. And even hell is the condition, Brother Jack. I can prove it. When you and I are broke, we're broke as hell. Yep. When we're hungry as hell. Exactly. When we're tired as hell. And if you go to Chicago in the wintertime,
it's cold as hell.
Okay, then. So we're on the same page. So hell is a condition. Right. And we're living in hell in our communities right now.
Well, I think to ask your opinion on something else as well. I mean, it's obvious that this is something that probably been conditioned, from the slave trade era to Minister Malcolm when he was in, and Brother Dr. King. Once these icons of progression in some instances, once they were chopped down, and even for us, because Mr. Farrakhan, with some of the rounds that he's made throughout the stations across the nation, we see a situation where he is now reaching out to the millennial generation, and that is something that, of course, should be applauded, because the millennial generation, the closest thing that we had to a Minister Farrakhan or Malcolm or Martin Luther King was Tupac, because it's not that the brother didn't have any faults, but he was conscious enough and aware enough to understand the condition of not just black folks, which is the same thing that you're speaking of.
Yes, sir.
The condition of human beings, period, who are oppressed and who do not have the best conditions. So with that being said, with all these leaders being chopped down, do you really feel that it's all a conditioning thing? And you gave a remedy on how to combat that. But again, the generation that's following the millennials, because the millennials are a funny group to try to corral, because it's broken down in threes. There's the 30 and up, the late 20s, and then the early 20s. And the early 20s, they're the real babies. So they're more or less along the lines like the brother that you saw with the rock. They're not conscious enough to know, look, you're hurting. You're about to hurt someone. You're about to hurt your sister. You're about to hurt you. They're not conscious of that. what is a way that you can combat that? Because right now, the older millennials is starting to become a bridge. You know what I mean? To where, or a lack of a bridge, to where there is no line of communication to get the message that we got from the Malcolms,
Yes,
the Martins, and the Tupacs of the world.
Very good question. You know, I want to start a little bit with Dr. King. You know, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is encouraging the youth to go and study Dr. King, especially from 65 on up, and you'll find out why he was assassinated. But the school system wants us to look at Dr. King on I Have a Dream. Mm-hmm. Well, I did some research. And if you looked and listened to Dr. King, you would say, man, that sounds like a Malcolm era. Mm-hmm. Because he began to evolve and he was changing his ideology. For instance, he talked about redistributing the pain for lack of justice. That's the 60s. Mm-hmm. And here we are 40 years, 50 years later, same thing. You had all these marches. What were these marches about? No jobs, no justice. Mm-hmm. 10, 20 years later, no jobs, no justice. Right. So we've had decades of crying for the same thing. So Martin Luther King, on May 8th, I believe it was 67 or 67, I think it was. Mr. Vaneker was interviewing him on NBC News. He was standing up, you can pull it up on YouTube, and he asked him, Dr. King, how do you feel now about your I Have a Dream speech that you gave a few years ago, 3, 4 years ago? And he said these words, my dream has now turned into a nightmare. Then he spoke about derivative crimes. That the society, the poor society, is blamed for the derivative crime, but he says that the derivative crime is produced by the darkness of white society. Now, you don't hear about that kind of Dr. King. Then he talked about, well, since they won't do justice by us, let us stop spending money with them. No more buying bread from them. No more buying their Coca-Cola. No more buying their pops. So he was talking about hitting the pockets, which is one of the things we intend to do with Justice or Else too. Mm-hmm. We're so busy spending so much money on Christmas that got nothing to do with Jesus because Friday. Santa, exactly. And that, it's black all right because they're taking out black money, and it's black for them because they're making profit. Mm. So the youth don't know. But you know what? The Minister Farrakhan says that I love our youth. The difference with what you were talking about, it seems like there is really a gap.
Right.
There's a gap, my dear brother, because some of the older generation have become a fearful generation.
Right.
The young generation is a fearless generation. So in the Bible, it talks about the children of Israel, whereas God told Moses and told the children of Israel, the elders, go to the promised land and take it. And they sat back, and this is in the Quran and this is in the Bible. And they sat back and said, I tell you what, Moses, why don't you and God go get the promised land ready for us, and we'll sit here and then we'll come, let us know when it's ready. God got angry in the Bible, and he told Moses, you tell them to sit there and die, and I'm going to take their children and take the promised land. This is what we're looking at. A lot of people are washing the youth away. So people like, you know, the youth won't go to the mosque, the youth won't go to the churches, but they're going to listen to 2 Chainz. They're going to listen to Rick Ross. They're going to listen to what Baby is doing as the co-founder of Cash Money Records. They're going to listen to Takeoff and the Migos. Mm-hmm. But guess what? In Atlanta recently, Minister Farrakhan met with all of them. You can go on Instagram and everything else, and CeeLo and all of them, they're taking pictures. Man, I'm with Minister Farrakhan, 2 Chainz and whatnot, and they're asking the minister, how can I be a leader like you? And Minister Farrakhan said, you already a leader. He said, how many followers you got on Instagram and Twitters? Some of you here with 2-3 million followers. He says, do you know that if you took the rap game and you gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and you start rapping the truth, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, you're still 3 million followers. They're going to be like, yeah, but now you're dropping knowledge in their mind. He says, you're already a leader.
Well, that goes back to what you were saying in regards to corporations. If you're being paid and somebody's pulling the strings, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. And that's really what it's a glass ceiling effect, I call it, because you got a situation where, yeah, these people have 3 million followers. Perfect example, look at Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby had enough power, or was in the process, to purchase a station like NBC or something like that. Everything that you see here, anybody that uses their third eye can see that this is a sabotage of this man's, what he's built in over 40, 50 years in the business. And when you speak logic, like you say, when I say what I'm saying, and I'm not saying as somebody that loves Jell-O pudding or something like that, I'm just speaking logically. Like, why would a person at the height of his career, a white woman, he's drugged them or he's done anything to violate this woman, this sister? Why wouldn't he have gotten a charge way back then at the peak of his career? And you think all the friends that he parties with and all this other stuff, you don't think they wouldn't wait to pounce on the opportunity to take this person down? So now it all comes out. And all these charges that come about, I think they were pursuing to indict him. But eventually, you didn't hear about it in the press. Eventually, they said, we have no grounds to press charges.
It's
so
outside the statute of limitations.
Exactly. So things like that would lead more. It's more of it's a virtual castration, and I think the people that the minister encountered, the 2 Chainz of the world, the CeeLos, they know. And those examples are out there. I mean, there are no more Tupacs, but there won't be any more Bill Cosbys either. So I think that's what we're up against for the people that are trying to spread knowledge and enlighten people. Because when you see a Farrakhan, when you see a Bill Cosby, when you see an Obama, that's supposed to empower you. That's supposed to make you feel like I could do that. Jay-Z is cool, but there's more to life than trying to be Jay-Z or Rick Ross. You can impact the world in different ways, and I don't think that the powers that be will allow that for as long as they can allow that.
That's very interesting, because did you notice how shortly after these rappers met with the minister and all of a sudden within a week or 2 they all got arrested?
Charges, yeah.
So they didn't know they had charges prior to that. They didn't know that there was partying. They didn't know they had this, that. See, and that's what we have to do now. And the minister did it on a YouTube special for the rappers. And he addressed those in power as well. But then he also addressed our people and said, look, it's time to clean up. There is a part in the Bible, it says that we fight not, or we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we fight against principalities and wickedness in high places. See, when you or I got something in the closet, the enemy already knows. Mm-hmm. And the enemy, Jesus told Peter, be careful, because the devil desires you to sift you like wheat. So they're coming. They know everything about you. They know everything about me. They know if I'm doing a shiesty deal over here, whatnot. So they're always looking for the point of weakness. And so as long as we can remain steadfast to be morally principled brothers and sisters, then we stand strong. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan, as a perfect example of a man for me, stands strong because he's a man of high integrity. He's a man for 60 years has been laying his life on the line. We started under his leadership back to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about, the economic blueprint, on the purpose of, if all of us, look at black people in particular, all people in general, but look at black people. How much money we spend in 1 year? We spent over $1 trillion just about.
I was about to say $1 billion, but okay.
Or $1 trillion now.
Yeah.
On foolishness. So if we start breaking it down, how much money we spend on alcohol? How much money we spend on gambling? How much money we spend on cigarettes? How much money we spend on these
Devices.
gadgets, these phones?
Yeah.
But guess what? You know what we don't have when other people come and they're able to establish what they have? The Brazilians come here to do what they do. The Chinese come here. You have a Chinatown and Koreatown and this town and that town, but you don't see no black town. Why? Because they're united. And not only they're united, they also have land.
It's extinct now.
That's exactly correct.
It once was here. I mean, Miami, I love referencing Overtown, because that was our Harlem. You know what I mean? Of all the cities in the South, Overtown was more advanced because this is where the Nat King Coles and Muhammad Ali's and everyone would come down here. But now you look at it, it's dwindling by the day. You know, now they're building high rises and finding manipulative ways to take over the land. So it was once here, but now it's like I said, it's extinct now.
Yeah, and that's why Minister Farrakhan says that the one thing that we don't have is an army. See, you got to get land, and then you have to have an army. Because when you don't have an army, then the enemy comes, and he always makes an offer that people supposedly can't refuse. You have Def Jam, you had BET, you had Viacom got that. See, so everything we get, they make an offer that supposedly we can't refuse. But in this day and time, we can't sell out. That's what it's coming down to. You know, what am I worth? Am I worth 10,000, $1 million, 2 million, 50 million? No, I am worth more than all the earth, and we are worth more than all the values and riches of the earth. So when we start thinking ourselves like that, then we can become productive. So we have a 3-year economic program that has been kicked off. The minister presented this. If you spent 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month, $18 and some change a year, 40 million black people in America. I said black people. I didn't say Haitians, Jamaicans. That's the one thing we got to break too. Oh, he's Haitian. I know I'm of Haitian root, but I'm a black man. I'm an original man. And I can allow these different islands to break me up because we're the same people.
That's pseudo racist.
Exactly. That sister here, when the enemy looked at her and arrested her and found killed, they didn't ask her where she's from. They didn't know if she opened her mouth if she would have a British accent or French accent or Creole accent. So we're one people. The Latinos, it's the same thing as well. So when we look at it from that perspective, together, what we can do, if we brought our money together, 16 million people, my brother, we would have over $292 million in 1 year. So we launched that off under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Some people say, oh, no, I ain't got time for this. But guess what? We had the same brothers that have the papers in their hands. We had our cans. We went on the website. In 1 year, we raised $1 million.
Grassroots.
Because it shows you what we can do. Well, what do you intend to do with land? Is it a reason why God is not allowing for land in Texas to be cultivated? Is it because new owners are on their way? The new children, the real new children of Israel? What would happen if we bought land in Texas? What can we do with land? What can we do with cows? Do you know, brother, that one cow has over 1,000 products that it produces? Deodorants, films for cameras, belt and shoes and whatnot. So now we can get into manufacturing. So now we are a nation. We're producing, we're collecting. How much bread do we eat? How much food do we eat? Now the money is recycling amongst itself. And since I'm on that subject, sometimes people say, well, you all black people don't do nothing. They never did nothing. You better go study the Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And what we were doing. And by the way, what happened?
Bombs.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, they said that when Timothy McVeigh bombed the federal building, this is, the second largest bombing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, wait a minute. Before 2 is 1. So I went and did some research as a young man and found out that that was the first time the United States of America allowed the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists to come into our town and destroy everything that we built.
Fly airplanes and drop fire
That's
bombs.
exactly correct. You know why, beloved? Because these white people were drinking this alcohol called ENJ, envy and jealousy. And that's our problem today. We can do it again. We got to do it again. I have 6 children. I have a 22-year-old young man going to college. I have one daughter who's going to trying to be a doctor. I have another daughter who's going to pilot school. I have a son who wants to be a scientist. Our last son, me and my wife, we pulled him out of the public school system. Because every time he was going, his head is down and the teacher's always calling in conferences and whatnot. And my wife said, I don't know what's wrong with him. I said, no, something wrong with the school and something wrong with that teacher. And I went before that teacher, and sure enough, see, these vaccines that they're doing, Brother Jack, free shots at CVS. Anytime the enemy is going to give you something for free, know if something laced up in it. That's how AIDS started. That's how HIV started. Then they blame it on monkeys. Get out of here with that nonsense. So now they're coming with an invisible syringe into the minds of our children with false education. George Washington never told a lie. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Get out of here. No, if our children start seeing themselves, then I'm proud of who I am. And the moment that we pulled our son from that public school system, and we, the little brothers and sisters in Miami in the mosque with a beautiful sister, Sister Shanika, started what is called New Paradigm Educational Center. Put our son in there. I watch my son now within 6 months. A and B student. I am mathematics, he's saying around the house. I am biology. I am from the originator of the heaven and the earth, with confidence amongst his own, because the teachers teach with love and they teach him his history. You created the pyramids. Your ancestors built the pyramids. See, now there's a connection. We don't have that in the school system. Lastly, Brother Jack, I went to school for 15 years in Haiti. I knew nothing of Macandal. I knew nothing of Duty Bookman. I knew nothing of the roots of Dessalines. I knew nothing of the roots of Louverture. His name Louverture meaning opening. And the reason why they call it opening, because he was a strategist. When the French got into difficult situation, they would call on him, a black man who didn't go to their school system, and he would find openings. We got people like that among us. We have brothers in the Nation of Islam who designed the Ford Expedition, the hatchback, but just make them sign a contract. And then they make millions. So
take away the patent.
Absolutely. So I'm passionate about this because, like Minister Farrakhan, I am a student of his. Looking at my children and our children, how long are we going to keep repeating this insane cycle? And we got to take a stand. So Minister Farrakhan says, justice or else. He says, and to those leaders who have been pretty much being weak about it, he says, if you're scared and you're not going to address justice or else, stay home.
Speaking of Minister Farrakhan coming to Miami, which you've played a hand in, that's happening July 30th at Mount Zion Baptist Church. It's the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, and it's good that we are bringing attention back to it. What are some final words that you'll have for the people?
We're excited to host the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I heard all these cities that he was touring, and I got a chance to see him in Atlanta and had the honor to have dinner with him. And at the end of the dinner, I went to shake his hand, and it just popped in my head. I said, Brother Minister, may we have you in Miami? And he said, that's a possibility. And we started working, and then 2-3 days later, I got the call. He says, I'm coming to Miami.
Okay.
So July 30th, you can register for free. You can go on our website at www.mm29org/events. And then right there, you can register so we can have a number available. You can find the phone number there as well. Please go and also visit justiceorelse.com to help us support the 20th anniversary. And lastly, we're going to start local organizing committees. We're now planning to take 20 buses from Miami to go to Washington, D.C. So we're looking for all Christians, all Muslim. Look, let's stop set tripping on these different names we call ourselves. We're all suffering. Let us unite. And as a student of his and for our people, I want to be one of those brothers to unite with you all, and let's change our reality.
Okay. Well, I'm appreciative of you coming by to the station and giving us a good amount of information and a good amount of fruit for everyone to take. This has been the Spot Discussions, and we thank you for coming by. I am one Jack Frost. That is the brother Patrick Muhammad, and
they can also see Minister Patrick Muhammad on Essential Sizzle live. Actually, it's open. It's free. The address to the venue is at our studios, which is 5525 Northwest 7th Avenue. And this will be Thursday, July 23rd at 8 o'clock at night.
And since we are worldwide and you won't be able to make it, where else can they find you?
Oh, they can also watch it live, or they can go to it whenever they want, which will be on Ustream. And the channel to search is Essential Sizzle TV. Okay.
This has been The Spot Discussions right here on SoFloRadio.com. Peace.
That's right. I'm with my kin folks.